Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining me. I am so happy to have you here. Now, I am super excited because I'm going to share with you my all-time favorite mutton recipe. Now my mutton, I don't mean what the Aussies down under mean. It's not sheep, this is actually goat meat. And that is what we call mutton here in Sri Lanka and also probably in this region in South Asia. And trust me when I tell you, it is probably one of the most addictive meats you will ever encounter in your life. But ironically, there are so many people who do not like it, and that is because they do not understand how to tame this meat, which is what I'm about to show you with my mutton fried rice. So now starts the taming process. Okay, grab yourself a spoon, and I'm going to be using Sri Lankan buffalo milk curd. Now, obviously, if you're not living in Sri Lanka, this is probably going to be next to impossible to find. So don't worry, you can substitute this with Greek yogurt, and even if that's difficult, just plain old yogurt. Obviously not one with sugar added. And give it a good stir. And what we're going to do is add heat into this now. So a good red chili powder, a Sri Lankan red chili powder. So if you're using cayenne, maybe up the heat a little bit. And don't worry, it's not going to be too spicy because the yogurt's going to mellow it out. And a Sri Lankan roasted curry powder. Again, use a curry powder of your choice. It could be a Middle Eastern blend, it could be an Asian blend, it doesn't matter, whatever picks your fancy. Something that is robust, so that's your key. And to go with that, some star anise, just about 1 flower, I guess. And that's going to give it a nice licorice undertone. And of course, you need to salt this. Maybe a little more than you think. And while we mix this up, we also need to go ahead and add some mint. Now this is a classic combination and for a very good reason. So give your mint a good chop. And don't worry if you have the stems, it's gonna cook down in this dish. And be careful when you handle it. If you keep mulching this up over time, your nails are going to turn this ugly yellow. So you might want to wear a glove or not play around with it too long. So that's pretty much, oh no, actually, we do need to add garlic as well. So give it a good, yeah. So what I like to do, as you saw, is just put pressure with my palms and everything kind of falls apart, releasing the beautiful cloves, which you're going to need about 3 to 4 for this dish. And once we get these cleaned up, we're going to give it a good mince, mix it in the beautiful mix, and fry it all up. So as fine as you can get them, because you don't want to bite into big chunks of garlic in this dish. And there you go. Garlic in, mutton is done. Now, you don't need to marinate this for too long. It's pretty much ready to go as is. So we're gonna start up our stove. On high heat is fine, and give it a little splash of an oil of your choice. Vegetable oil is what I'm using here. So a clear palm oil, and it's about a tablespoon that's going on in there. Don't put too much oil because this is a very fatty meat, and it's kind of like cooking bacon. It's going to start releasing fat, so you don't want an oily mess, so go easy on the oil. And that looks like it's heated up. So, dump it all in. And we are going to cook this past pink, obviously, but you want to cook it to a point to get a nice browning, so almost char it but not burn it. So immediately you see the juices and fat seeping out. So we can cook this all the way on high. So the yogurt has made it extremely moist, but you want to cook off most of that moisture and get a rather dry, crumbly meat. And we're going to keep cooking till this gets to that point. This didn't take too long at all. As you can see, most of the moisture's gone off. There's a little bit of residual fat, and we're going to try and cook that off too. We're going to try and get this dry as possible. But don't worry, the meat is still going to be tender. I know it sounds like an oxymoron because we're going to dry out the meat and it's still going to be moist, but weirdly enough it is. And the funny thing is, I've been telling you everything you can substitute except mutton, but unfortunately that's probably the one element that you can't substitute. But if you must, I suppose beef could work, ground beef, but it's really not the same thing. So if you're trying this out, try and get your hands on some good old-fashioned ground goat meat. And it's nicely browned. I'm happy with the color, and yes, almost completely dry. As you can see the bottom of the pan as you move the meat around, and that's kind of what you're looking for. And in just a few more minutes we're going to add some day-old rice. If you have some leftover, I mean, like I said, older the better. Maybe not a week, but if you have leftover rice, great. If you must make it from scratch for this dish, make it a couple of hours ahead at least, because you want the rice to completely cool. Because what happens is, if you take it straight out of your rice cooker or your pot as you cook it and you dump it into this, it's going to mulch up your rice and you're going to have a paste. So you really don't want that. You want the nice fluffy grains to stand on their own, and this is going to ensure that. So I think it's time for the rice, and what we're going to do is just dump the whole thing in, just like that, and give it a good mix. And mix it up so that the meat and rice is evenly distributed. You don't have to cook it for much longer, just so that everything is combined. And there you have it. Right, so your rice base is done. We have just a few finishing touches to do, and this dish is ready to hit your tummy. So leave it to stand, and we're going to give it a good spritz of lemon. So if you have a zester, go ahead and zest some peel into it as well. I couldn't find mine today for some reason, so we're just going to have to do with the juice, which is still fine. And I think about 1/4 of a lemon is more than enough for this, because you don't want it too acidic. And I'm going to add some bird's eye chilies that I picked myself from my garden. Now these are killer, so go easy on them. I wouldn't recommend more than 1 per serving per person. If you're feeling really crazy, maybe 2, but don't push it. So just give them a very fine slice. And I'm going to use the seeds and all, though that's where most of the heat is. And this is going to add that little flecks of orangish red. Is going to brighten up this dish. And yeah, nothing more than that really. And gives a good stir, and this is almost ready. All that's left to do is plate it up. I can actually smell the chilies from just that little quick mix. So that's plated up, and we are gonna add one of my favorite ingredients of all time, cilantro. Give it just a rough chop. And this is not just a garnish, this honestly complements this dish so well and brightens it up immediately. And of course, a handful of pomegranate. And I have a little secret ingredient which I love to use, which is pomegranate molasses. Now, again, if you can't find this, don't worry, but this is just something I love to add. And there you have it. That's my mutton fried rice. So in trying to tease you guys, I managed to torture myself, so I can't wait anymore. I'm gonna dig in, and like I said before, this is one of my all-time favorite dishes. Oh, and there's that chili kick. I could just sit down and eat a whole pot of this watching TV. I kid you not. Why do you keep looking at me? Okay, why don't you come on over? So this is Suralini, who helps with the set design. I feel like I'm gonna get a stomachache because you're just glaring at me from over there.
Thank you.
Hey! Okay, so there you have it, guys. I'll see you again next week. Thank you so much for dishing with me. This is Dush. Come on, leave some for me. No. Maybe share with the guys. No? Okay. Well, there's another pot.